Hello, Tara of Queen Bee Homestead here, and today I'm going to be adding a second box to my Worm Factory 360. So they've been working this one for over a month now, probably close to 2 months, because I am extremely pregnant and everything gets pushed to the back burner. I don't know, I think I'm on week like 75. No, but I'm 37 weeks pregnant. And I'm going to be finally setting up the second one today. And you may have noticed I have my worm bin inside. It does not have any smell. That is something I love about it. The thing I don't like is I do get some small flying bugs now and then. Fruit flies aren't too bad as long as I keep my compost sealed before I give it to them. It's when they lay eggs on it beforehand that I have a little bit of a problem. But overall, I've been very happy with this setup. I am going to be moving it to our pole barn once that's built, which is to be delivered July 15th, which is of course 3 days before my due date. So we may be in the hospital when our barn pieces are delivered. But I'm gonna get to it. So I'm setting up the second one, much like the first, because they sent enough substrate to do that, to have the second box the same. So this is coconut coir. It is a really good base bedding. You don't have to use it. You can always just use newspaper or even leaves or something like that. But this stuff is the primo stuff, fancy. So I'm gonna use it since they sent it. And then I'm gonna switch back to newspaper because it's easier than buying this all the time. Because I am looking for a very inexpensive worm farm. I have about 2 pounds of worms in there. As long as they didn't start breeding, I have no idea how many are in there. Between die-offs and new worms. But it started with 2,000, which is about 2 pounds of worms. And I just gotta rehydrate this stuff. It always takes more water than I think it's going to. Alright, I need more water. And one of the things with worm bedding is you want to make sure it's not too wet. So don't just pour a ton in and hope that that's good, because if your worms are too wet, that's not good either. Alright, and that's what it looks like. So this is just a tad too wet. I accidentally dumped a little extra. You shouldn't be able to squeeze moisture out like that. But we are adding some shredded newspaper. So if it's still too wet after I add this, I'm going to grab some more shredded newspaper. But I think this will balance it out. And of course I should have gotten a bigger bowl. Oh, there is no way I'm going to be able to mix it like that. So, I am going to put it directly over here. Now, we take the old newspaper and we're going to put it on top of the new box. So let me take that off. I'm going to give these worms a little peek, see how they're doing. Oh yeah, they're digging in there. I did go a little longer than maybe I should have without feeding them before putting this on. But I kept planning on doing it and then it got put off. So yeah, worms are doing good. It's starting to look like compost. There's just some avocado peels, avocado pits, and paper on top that still really need to get broken down. They are looking good though. One thing I am going to check is make sure that this box touches. Yep. You want to make sure it is touching the next layer down, because otherwise the worms won't really be able to migrate up, because they don't really go through open space. So I'm going to dump this in and mix it around. See, this bottom stuff's a little wet. So it's still a little wet. I really should have poured a little slower, so I am going to grab some of the cut up newspaper I have and add that too. And if you have a paper shredder, that's going to be the way to go, because you want small pieces of paper and ripping it takes forever, so I've been cutting it into tiny squares. I also use coffee grounds and filters as my kind of browns or paper product kind of stuff. Oh yeah, that should be good. And that works really well. Just make sure you dry them out first, or else everything gets sopping wet. I just leave them out. That's looking really good now. So now I'm going to add some pumice. I'm not going to add this to every level. I'm just being fancy and adding it because it came with the package. And I'll probably have enough to do 2 more layers with this, because I don't put a ton in. It's supposed to help with aeration and stuff like that. You do not want your compost to be getting compacted. It will not develop properly into compost. You'll end up getting anaerobic bacteria, and you want aerobic bacteria. Getting on fancy terms now. And then they did give us rock dust as well. This kit really does come with everything you need. And this you only need, I got a big tear in the side. You only need a little bit. And when this is gone, I'm just gonna use dried out eggshells that I pulse through a blender, and I'll just use that because it's essentially the same thing, a calcium grinding supplement for them to be able to chew their food. I'm just kind of sprinkling that on and put it back in the bag. Alright, and that's all you need to do for the layer. Only took a couple minutes. And then the last thing, of course, add their food. So I really just got a bunch of random, mostly fruit, because I have a toddler who doesn't eat everything, so a lot of stuff gets cut up. I got watermelon rind, which you want to be careful with, it's high moisture. Some tomato, apple, but a lot of banana peels. My toddler loves banana peels. Or, he does not love banana peels, he loves bananas. So I have a lot of peels. So I'm just going to add all this into 2 of the corners. I like to kind of alternate where I'm putting the food. That's just kind of a personal preference. It probably doesn't matter very much, but I'll usually start with it in 2 corners. I'm going to just mix in some of the paper a little bit. Also, probably not completely necessary, and I know a lot of people probably don't want to touch half-rotting food, depending on how long it's been in your compost bin, waiting to go to the worms. That's all there is. And then the newspaper goes on top. And since my bedding's pretty moist, I am not going to add any water to the newspaper. If it was a little drier, you might want to moisten your newspaper. I'm going to check them tomorrow, and if it looks too dry, I'll add a little water. It's not an exact science, and I also am still learning, but I've done a lot of research, and I've been having fun with it. I'm telling you guys, worms, they're pretty cool. It is a way to have your scraps be composted. It doesn't stink a lot. You don't have to run outside. I mean, you can keep your worms outside if you do it properly, but you can keep them right in like a laundry room. Yeah, I have mine in my little dining room area, but you can tuck them away anywhere, and they'll compost for you. It's great, and I know the compost from worms is extremely good for gardens. It's just something about it. I don't know all the science, but I know it's really, really good for your garden or whatever you want to compost with. It's going to take about 2 to 3 months to get it fully composted, and it depends on, you know, how much you're feeding them, how many worms you have and stuff. But it's really good. I also have rabbits, so I also get that really great compost. So I'm expecting next year I'm going to have the best garden ever, and probably grow a lot of weeds because I never have time to weed. So if you have any tips on to reduce weeding, I've tried, I'm putting down black tarp, but I'm getting weeds on top of the tarp coming out from underneath my raised beds, so that's fun. And I'm too pregnant to really pull them. My poor husband, I have him helping me with just about everything these days. But in about 3 weeks, I'll be having the baby, and then I'll really be doing nothing. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, remember to hit the like and subscribe button and be notified every time I have a new video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.